Respected Director Shri M.R. Baloji, I would like to thank you and for giving me this opportunity to once again interact with you all, Dr. Joshi, Dr. Rathore, and all my applications. I am very grateful to all of you. And since today's theme is restoration, land recovery, we build back better with healthy lands. Yes, and since already that Dr. Rathod has covered a very vast area, so I am directly coming to my presentation without any background because my work, which I am going to present, which I have worked as a scientist in AFRI for in 26 years, is directly related to today's theme. It is restoration and land recovery. I have worked on the afforestation techniques for arid salt affected soils as was discussed. आगे कैसे जाएगा? इससे जाएगा. So, since you all are working in AFRI, so you know that deserts are already marginal lands. They are natural marginal lands, and they have various type of problem: low and erratic rainfall, high temperature, high evapotranspiration, and high wind velocity. And also, the main problem of establishing any plantation there is the large variation in diurnal temperature. You all very well know that night temperature many a times go to even 0 degree, and the day temperature go to the 50s in 50s. So that's why survival of plantation is very difficult, and survival of human, of course, is also very difficult. So under these type of conditions, we have three types of lands here. One is sand dune, other is skeletary soils, and last but not least is the salt affected lands. And these salt affected lands are more in occurrence to the arid environments. Why? In India also, we are enriched in salt affected areas in Rajasthan and Gujarat, which our institute is covering. So we have a great work to carry on, and in this you can see from the figures that in these two states we cover 40% of the total salt affected area in India. So that is why I am directly coming. And how this salt originate actually. The main process of origination of this salt is because our area, mean the arid area, it does not have any perennial river which goes to the sea. All our rivers are ending somewhere in the desert itself and making large area of salt transported to various stages in the desert and getting it accumulated there. And that's why it is getting accumulated in many places. You have heard the name runs. There are so many runs: Pokhran ka run, Falodi ka run, Kabada ka run. So they are smaller, and in India we have the largest runs also. So these are being formed because there is no way of carrying of dissolved salt to the sea. So that is why we have large areas under salt. And because working on these areas, before working these areas, there is a general feeling कि कोई भी अगर सॉल्ट का एरिया है तो उसमें केसीबी में एक ही तरीके से काम हो सकता है, बट इट इज नॉट. वी हैव टू क्लासिफाई द सॉल्ट एरियाज, एंड फॉर दैट यू हैव टू do little bit of science. Without science you cannot do it. you have to go for first, we have to measure the pH of the saturated soil paste, we have to measure the electrical conductivity, and we have to measure the exchangeable sodium percentage before making to make any afforestation work successful. If you will not do, then most likely your work will fail. So there are two types of soil. One is saline soil, in which if the pH of saturated soil paste is less than 8.2, EC is more than 4 decisiemens per meter, and exchangeable sodium percentage is less than 15. So these type of soils are saline soils. हम लोग एक ही word use कर देते हैं saline, but it is not. There are two types of soil, and one, yes, largely we have saline soils, but we have other type of soils also. So in these type of soils, water logging may also take place. Okay, and this is our world's largest saline area, the Great Run of Kutch, which is occurring in India only. So we have a large problem. India has a large coastline also, so salinity of that type of is also there. And second type of soils are alkali soils. These are generally in inland areas. The saline soils generally are on towards coast side or somewhere where rivers are ending, but the sodic soils are distributed in the inland areas. And here again, there the salts were in the saline areas were chlorides and nitrates and sulfates, but here in alkali or sodic soils we have the salts of sodium carbonate, sodium bicarbonate. It means carbonate soils salts are there. Sodium, magnesium, calcium also may be there, but mainly sodium salts are there. Here, the thing to be remembered is pH of the soil saturated paste is more than 8.2. Exchangeable sodium percentage is also more than 15, and EC is more than 4 decisiemens per meter, and कम भी हो सकती है, ज़्यादा भी हो सकती है. और यहाँ पर मतलब पीएच और ईएसपी में डायरेक्ट होता है कि अगर पीएच हाई है तो जो है सोडियम परसेंटेज ज़्यादा ही ज़्यादा होगा. अब एक बात आप सबको ध्यान रखने की है, बिकॉज when we are designing something to afforest these soils, we know very well that अगर आपके पास सभी कुछ है खाने में लेकिन नमक ज़्यादा है या सॉल्ट ज़्यादा है तो आप खाना नहीं खा सकते. यही इन सॉइल्स की प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं. इसलिए इनमें प्लांटेशन करने से पहले वी हैव टू डिजाइन सम टेक्निक्स बाय विच वी कैन. So first we have to classify the soil, whether it is saline or whether it is alkali, and after classifying the soil, then we have to go for the amendments. In case of alkali soil, we have to use gypsum, and you are very lucky in Rajasthan. You have gypsum's availability all over the Rajasthan. So if you plant, you can go ahead with gypsum. But remember, gypsum is to be used only on alkali soils, but it cannot be used in saline soils, because in saline soils it will again create more of what is gypsum? It is calcium sulfate. So when it will dissolve in the soil, it will again create salinity. So that is the problem, because in many of the forest department plantation, they use gypsum on saline soils also. That's why plantation fails. So we have to be very careful about identifying the soil type before going for any plantation strategy. So the work which has been carried out, it has been carried out in two places, one in Rajasthan and another in Gujarat. So the Gangani side, it is not very far from you. It is 50 kilometers from here on Nagaur Bikaner road, and this was a saline alkali, or you can say alkali soil. And remember, this was the soil which we have started to work on. It is totally barren soil. Here the pH was ranging from 8.5 to 10.2. EC was very high, 4.8 to 16.4. but there were salt patches which has they were only pure salt, and it was EC was 48.4 also. Soil was हमकी एंड मतलब ऊंची नीची थी और इसमें कुछ टीले भी थे. तो जो सॉइल डेप्थ वाज ranging from 30 centimeter. Here it was 30 centimeter, and here it was somewhere up to even जहाँ थोड़ा सा छोटा सा जो है वो था सैंड ड्यून टाइप का, वहाँ पर अप टू 90 सेंटीमीटर भी थी. लेकिन imagine this was the soil profile, that calcium carbonate concretion was up to the depth of 2 meter. So, and this soil was waterlogged during the monsoon. So on this we have started working. We have started with two types of plant species. First was halophytes and second was glycophytes. So when I'll discuss further, I'll go. First thing, many of you may not be knowing about the halophytes. Halophytes are those naturally occurring plant species in which nature has created some type of mechanism to survive in the salty areas. And there are two types of halophytes. One are excretive, in which they are the plant roots are taking salt and removing it by some organ of the mainly leaves and stems and succulents. And these are the second type of plants in which they have the mechanism to store the salt inside the leaves or inside the stem, and they may become fleshy. बहुत सारे जो स्पीशीज देखी होंगी जो बारिश के बाद आपने देखा होगा जिनकी पत्तियों में पानी यानी भर जाता है और जो खाने में थोड़ा नमकीन लगती है. So that type of two types of plant species were there, and in our strategy, first we have gone for the halophytes. First time we used mainly the halophytes because planting soil was very salty, and plantation of halophytes require less effort. So it is better to plant initially to go for the halophytes followed by glycophytes. And the amendments we use were FYM because these soils are very poor in fertility. So we have to have their organic carbon content is very low. So we have to use FYM. We have used gypsum at 100% soil GR. We have used nitrogen in the form of urea and calcium ammonium nitrate. And phosphorus we have used as single superphosphate. And two types of mode of planting we have used. One was normal pit planting, where deep soil was there, and another was mound planting, circular ditch mound and double ridge mound we have created, where soil depth was very shallow, waterlogging was taking place, so plants were unable to survive due to waterlogging. So two types of this we have taken. And for normal pit planting, it was the scene from there. We have dug pits of large size, 50 into 50 into 50 centimeter were dug. In this we have used 3 kg farmyard. This farm manure was मतलब इसको बहुत अच्छे से कूट लिया था ना, ऐसे नहीं मिला दिया था, अच्छे से बहुत कूट के तब मिलाया था. 15 ग्राम सिंगल सुपर फॉस्फेट एंड जिप्सम हमने ट्रीटमेंट जैसे दिए थे उसके हिसाब से मिलाया था. और इसके अतिरिक्त हमने प्लांटेशन को सर्वाइव करने के लिए क्रिसेंट शेप ड्रेनेज ट्रेंचेस बनाई थी, जो अभी आगे फोटो में आएंगी तो आपको दिखेगा. तो ये देखिए कि ये हमने पहली स्पीशीज ट्राई की थी. फोटो शायद थोड़ा सा ब्लर दिख रहा है, लेकिन दिस इज एट्रिप्लेक्स लेंटिफॉर्मिस. इट इज अ सॉल्ट बुश, सो इट इज हेलोफाइट एंड इट इज एक्सक्रीटरी हेलोफाइट. इसमें जो लीव्स हैं वो जो है सॉल्ट को एक्सक्रीट आउट कर देती हैं. और ये वो जो हमने आपसे कहा था कि हमने ट्रेंचेस बनाई, तो these are the trenches, and in this half trench बनाई है ताकि मतलब जो है प्लांटेशन कॉस्ट को कट किया जा सके, बिकॉज सॉइल वाज स्लोपी. तो टुवर्ड्स द साइड ऑफ स्लोप हमने हाफ जो है ट्रेंच बनाई है, ताकि दो काम किए इस ट्रेंच ने. पहला कि भाई आपने जिप्सम मिलाया है तो लीच आउट होगा, वो लीच आउट होकर कहीं तो जाएगा ना भाई. अगर वहीं पे जो है उसके रूट राइजोस्फीयर में बचा रहा तो जो है वो आपको कोई हेल्प नहीं करेगा. तो आपको यू हैव टू लीच आउट दैट. एंड सो ये जो जिप्सम से जो सोडियम लीच आउट होता है वो इन ट्रेंचेस में आके इकट्ठा होता है, और इससे जो है प्लांटेशन को बहुत हेल्प मिलती है. आप देख सकते हैं ये वो बैरन पैच है जो है, जो मैंने आपको शुरू में दिखाया था, जिसमें मैं आपसे कही थी थोड़ा सा डीप सॉइल है, उस जगह पर आप ये देखिए, और इसमें 40 महीने के बाद भी हमने जो है 100% हमें सर्वाइवल मिला उस ट्रीटमेंट में, जहां हमने जो है 100% जिप्सम रिक्वायरमेंट को यूज किया है। तो ये जो है आपको 1 टन से ज्यादा आपका बायोमास देती हैं। ये इसका जो है रिजल्ट है। नाइट्रोजन मिलाया गया है, उससे लीफ कंटेंट बन गया, क्योंकि हमने ज्यादातर जो एफर्ट किया है इस साइट पर प्लांटेशन में, in that we have tried to obtain the fodder species, because we wanted to convert into a fodder land, because it is difficult to grow the crops and other things. So for plantation we have gone for those species which can be used as fodder. So in this you can see that our treatment has benefited us, and this much is the biomass we have got per bush. 18 the best treatment was where this is no gypsum, this is with gypsum, full gypsum, and this is double time gypsum. So agar if we are using more than soil requirement of gypsum, then again it is creating salinity, and that is why the growth was compromised. So full gypsum requirement was the best treatment here. Second species, this is our best species proved so far, and this is the Salvadora persica. This is better known as Kharajal, you known as miswak, you known as toothbrush tree. तो इसमें भी हमने अगेन जिप्सम एंड जो है नाइट्रोजन को यूज किया है, और ये मतलब अभी तक भी था 20 साल तक। जो एट्रिप्लेक्स की स्पीशीज थी, दे आफ्टर 6-7 years they were exotic, they were from Australia, and but this is our indigenous species and it survived the best. So here again, since it was planted on the deep soil, so again we have used the drainage crescent, and you can see that except for working as a drainage trench, it is working as water harvesting also. So during the monsoon, because you know in these soils water collection of water is also a very problem, because there we are having problem of waterlogging and other things. So we are doing this in the making harvesting trenches, and these trenches are helping us the plants. And after, you can just see, after 9 years we have excavated, and you can see the massive root structure. These species have survived up to 20 years since when I left. It was planted in 97, and up to 2020 these species were surviving. More than 80% survival was there. It has massive root structure, so it takes water from wherever it is available. But only thing is that it did not penetrated the conker pan. That is the only I think drawback of this species, that it has not broken the conker pan, but it has a massive root structure. So once it is survived, it is survived. So initially its growth is slow. Nitrogen helped it. Nitrogen has helped in establishing it. And so because in forestry plantations many times they say from where we'll get the urea. So these days urea is not very a big issue. We can use it because at the time of plantation only we require, and after some 5 years again we have to give, because these soils are very poor in fertility. So it is survived. And another thing which has been done here is this, that after 10 years, because Salvadora persica fruits are there, and after some 6 years of plantation, birds started coming because fruits were there, and it is a very vast barren area. There was nothing else for the birds, so many types of birds were coming. They were eating the fruits. They were sitting on these julifloras which were on the periphery of the experimental sites, and they are dropping the seeds. And now you can see here, it is difficult for you to see the Prosopis juliflora. Almost it has been covered by Salvadora persica. So that is another very good advantage of having Salvadora persica in the plantation. You don't need to remove all the Prosopis juliflora. Even Salvadora persica can suppress its growth, because after that it is not getting in. We are not pruning it. It is now Salvadora persica has overtaken it, and maybe after some another 5-10 years, maybe Prosopis juliflora is totally suppressed. So this is the best species for those is. And one more thing, Prosopis juliflora is not bad for this because this type of soil, because Prosopis juliflora only enabled the germination of Salvadora persica, because by the dropping of its leaves, the upper soil layer was ameliorated, and that amelioration helped the regermination of Salvadora persica. So we can say that while planning to afforest these type of barren land, and because these days Salvadora Prosopis juliflora is there, the main species which is covering all the saline on alkali areas. So if we want further diversity, we can plant Salvadora persica there, our indigenous species, and that indigenous species along with Prosopis juliflora will slowly cover the area. If I don't know what is the current situation, but if you can see, this is the photograph of 2018. Another species which performed very well was Acacia ampliceps. It is again an exotic species from Australia. It is popularly known as saltwater. It is a glycophyte, and the problem with the Salvadora persica was that it has many other uses, it was used in miswak, and its fruits are very useful, but they are not that much acceptable as fodder because they are salty. So though camel is eating there, then sometimes even goats and sheep are relishing it, but cows, they don't prefer it to eat it. But this species has Acacia ampliceps saltwater. It is a glycophyte, and it the difficulty with it was since it was a species from Australia, so it requires some water in the summers. In the initial stage of establishment, we have to plant it in. We have to irrigate it in the summer months, because summer is very harsh for it. So for 3 to 5 years, we have to irrigate it in summers. But its leaf are very, very good fodder, and this fodder is acceptable to all the animals, even cow, because the chowkidar there was having his cow and she was relishing eating it. So we have to make special efforts to save it, and this is a very good species for production. It is fast growing, and it produces biomass in no time. In 3 years itself, it produces sufficient biomass. You can prune it, and you can give that fodder to the cows and other animals. So this is a very good species, and the very advantage of this species was there that it did not suppress the growth of native vegetation. We can have, and another thing is that it survived on shallow soil also. Salvadora growth was slow on shallow soil. However, once it has a slight difficulty in establishment, but once it is established, then it survived very well on very shallow soil. It again has a very massive root system. It has 2 types of root system. On deep soil, roots go deep, so that is how it survived. And on shallow soils, its root system spreads horizontally to a very large area, and from those roots we have root suckers. And when I left it, the area was having thickets. So many plantations have come from it that. So this is a very good species for those areas which are shallow soil, then they are waterlogged. So this species from its seed has been taken by Haryana Forest Department, by Punjab Forest Department, and in the run of Kutch also it has performed very well. So this species is adapting to the Indian saline and alkali conditions both. Then we have come to that part. This was the species which was tried on the deep soils, deep and shallow soils, but on very shallow soil, very shallow soils, where soil depth was only 20 centimeters, we couldn't survive the plantation. So we have to adapt to the double ridge mount techniques, and these double ridge mount techniques we have adapted from Australia. In normal mount, the disadvantage is that once rainfall is there, it will slide down the mount and it will not stay. When we made double ridge like this, then we plant inside the depression, and their plant has less salty environment, because after what happens is that during monsoon plant will survive, but after the monsoon, when the salt will start rising due to the capillary action, then in double ridge mount, capillary go up to the top point, so salt will reach there, and this will again remain in the less salty environment. So we will have advantage of plantation survival. So these were our parameters, like 120 centimeters long we have taken, 65 centimeter was our height of the ridge, and 40 centimeter was the depression, and D is the counter. ये आप देख सकते हैं कि हमने this was the way we have planted. It was Acacia Atriplex lentiformis, and you can see this. How much survival? In the first year we failed here. We didn't have any survival here, but in the second year in 98 we failed, and 99 we tried this double ridge mount, and we had very successful plantation of more than 80% survival for quite some time. I'm not discussing the results. Results are available with AFRI. You can go and see there. I'm directly discussing. This is another species of Atriplex. This is river saltbush. So it also has the advantage of high survival. It has a high survival, and it is slightly less salty as compared to Atriplex lentiformis. So in this you can see that this is the area outside the experimental area, and there nothing is there, and water logging is taking place. After the plantation of Atriplex amnicola in this area on various type of mounds, you can see that we are successful in restoring the natural growth. Grasses are coming. This is further in summers. You can see so many type of grasses there, and we have done controlled grazing with sheep, and because it is a salt bush, so naturally there is no liking by other species, but sheep relishes it because sheep require salty fodder for some time during their life cycle. So they like to eat it, and so our Chowkidar was having sheep also. So there was how we could do this, and this is another very good species. Its longevity is quite high. You can see that even it has a long area under it, and it survived quite a long time. But again, we have to give nitrogens at regular intervals, some 2-3 years after, because soils are very poor in fertility, and grazing is taking place, and most of the vegetation which was coming is generally salt tolerant. So soil, this organic carbon increment in this part was less. It was very high in case of Acacia ampliceps, but with the halophytes, the organic carbon increment was slightly less. This is another species from Gujarat. This is a fringe mangrove, Chida nudiflora. And since it is a fringe mangrove, it survives very well on the coastal area of Gujarat. But we wanted to try in the Rajasthan area of inland saline. So here also it performed very well. And it is a succulent halophyte. Here it is, you can see in this that some of the leaves are yellowing, and ultimately it will blacken and then fall down. So in green we have 1.9% of salt, in yellow we are having 7.4%, and in black we have more than 10% of salt. So its way of survival is like that it stores the salt in the leaf, and when the optimum limit is reached, then the leaf diseases out and new leaves come. So this was the way of its survival, and it survived well here. It survived the waterlogging because it is a fringe mangrove. So it survived the waterlogging, and it also has a very longevity of survival. So this species also can be tried here, and you can see that on the double ridge mound, again the plant survival was high because root could travel through the soil. It again here it did not penetrate it remains on the surface, but since we have increased the surface area, so a root could penetrate there, and that's how it helped in the survival. And this is another type of mound we have created, because in a double ridge mound the disadvantage was that roots were only two-sided, but in circular dish mound we have the root development in all the directions, and in the control root was, because we have not made any extra soil, so root was confined in the pit only. That's why the survival was poor, growth was poor. These are two again indigenous species, this glacophytic species, neem and Acacia coli. Acacia coli didn't survive much. We tried it. It was again exotic species, but it initially 3 years it survived, but after that it again, this is the, you can see that on double ridge mound only, and neem gave us better result on circular dish mound. It survived up to 5 years, and after that because once the root reaches the conker pan, these were on very shallow soils, so once the roots reaches the conker pan, plants started dying, and we gave some supplemental irrigation also, but only in very few patches where because there is not continuous conker pan. So in some patches where root could go deep, neem survived, but it will otherwise after 5 years neem, most of the plants have died, but it flowered and fruited. It is there that within 5 years it flowered also and fruited. So if we can give, because in our condition we could not make more further research on this, how to make it survive. So one of you can take this challenge and can try neem survival, but on slightly deeper soil neem will survive. This was a very shallow soils. We tried with the soil structures. We were successful up to 5 years, but after that we couldn't survive. And this is the last species. This was Cholophosphorum mopane. And in this, this is the first slide has, I think, removed. In this is the only species in which the roots penetrated the conker pan and just go down. The depth of the roots were 2 meters. In no other case, roots could go up to more than 1 meter, but in this case, depth of root was more than 2 meters. This species also has a very adaptability to survive the stress conditions. You can see it was very green in monsoon. In winter, it started shedding the leaves. In summers, it was totally leafless, and with the first rain of monsoon it started reflowering and again regreening. So you can see that this species also has a very good survival instinct and it a very good potential to be planted on the very wasteland, because it is, you can see this again, this did not suppress the native vegetation. You can see all the grasses coming around it. It flowered and we have natural germination of it also on the site. We have, after sometimes when plantation was there, we have converted it to, because so many types of grasses were coming in between the Colophosphorus mopane trial. So we have tried to convert it to grassland with more palatable species. So we have tried to convert with the Cenchrus ciliaris, and only one species of Cenchrus ciliaris from Kazri 75, which was developed by Kazri's Kukma branch, could survive here. Another species of high yielding variety didn't succeed. So it is normally not salt tolerant, and so that is why we could success with this species, but we were not successful with other. But a total of 22 types of grasses and other annual species have appeared in the area. So another in the Pseudonidiflora, we tried to convert it to in a cropping after 10 years, and you can see that we have planted Bajra successfully. So after 10 years, our site, which was totally barren in the initial stages, were converted to a cropping land. We could plant, you can see, this is Salvador Pseudonidiflora plantation, and in this we have tried to plant the Bajra. It is difficult slightly because area is waterlogged. So, but still Bajra could come, and we have crop of the Bajra. And after plantation, soil improvement has taken place, as you have seen. We could convert a very, very barren land to a cropping land. So this is the scene in which you can see, I have already told you, some 22 types of species कुल मिलाकर appear हुई हैं साइट पर different years में, and there is a variation in high rainfall years. We have more of glycophytic species, and in low rainfall years we have more of salty species. So that type of variation is there, but grazing is taking place because we have allowed that. So, and this species is Sporobolus, and this is a very important grass species which is used by the villagers. They come to the site and they take it and they can make broom from it. So I think every year some 100 brooms are being given to from the site to the various people, and Mr. Bharatveer Jain must be having record of it, how many types, and there are persons coming which are taking the glycophytic grasses for their newborn calves, and this grass was given to them. So that way you can say that site was popular also in the village, to the villagers also. So this was thing, and if another work was carried out in the Ran of Kutch, Gujarat. This is a very unique ecosystem, and based on the finding of Gangani site, Shri R.N. Meena was working here as a group coordinator research, and he was from Gujarat cadre, so he invited us to work in this Ran of Kutch. So there, now I just rushed through it. There the site was saline. Here now you can see that EC was ranging from 7.8 to 20. No, but pH was not very high. 8.35, 8.35, 8.9.23 in the upper surface. So in this case, so they were trying using gypsum. So their plantation was continuously failing. So after making, we also in the first plantation we did the gypsum only, but only after that we could do, because we were reached in the rain, and reaching this site itself was a very big research. So first year we have planted with gypsum, and again we have failed. But after that we undertook the soil examination, and we came to the conclusion that gypsum is the culprit here. So we have used wheat husk and we have used bajra husk here with urea. And again here we have used 3 species. One was Salvadora persica. Again here it proved best. You can see that this is the survival and the growth here, and it also in this highly barren area. This was the plantation site which we have taken. You can see we are planting here, and after when we left it, it was having a very great grass growth also. Then second species was Acacia biignosa. It has performed very well, and it has taken very good growth, but it is slightly less palatable, because its leaf is thick in lignin and other contents, so it is slightly less palatable, but its growth is very good, and again it has also promoted the growth of local flora. And third was Acacia ampliceps. It has come up very well. It was the fastest growing, but it has a problem in survival during the summers. As I was telling you, in Gangani also we face that problem, that during the summers we have to give the extra irrigation. But since in the run of Kutch we were not able to have extra irrigation, so in summers it has problem in survival. But again here this was the species which was grazed heavily by the wild ass. So since their requirement was for having a species which was acceptable to the wild ass, so this is the species. But again, as I told you, that for its establishment we need slightly more efforts of conserving water around it. There we could not make the water harvesting trenches due to some problems. So, my feeling is that if you can take the challenge and you can go ahead and try to make more water harvesting structure around it, then it will survive, and it is the most wonderful species I have come across. So this is again, as you can see, they have flowered, they have produced pods within 2 years, and we have natural germination of Acacia ampliceps also. So this is again a very good species to be planted on this type of soils. And this is the last in Salvadora persica. You can see Mr. Ratnaram Lohra. We have left this site in 2011. We have worked from 2006 to 2011. The plantation was done in 2007, and this is now when we left in the scene. It was like this in the September or October somewhere in the 2011. So this is all the work has been carried out in Rajasthan and Gujarat. And now I want you people to go ahead and take the challenges to the Great Run of Kutch. I have worked in Little Run of Kutch, and I aspire now some of you take the challenges and go to the Great Run of Kutch. Thank you very much.